Hey, hey, ho, ho, Larry O'Connor here. I'm in the home studio. Thanks for joining us on this impromptu live stream. I'm going to do more live streams because why not? You guys rock, and I want to do live streams. So throw in some comments and we'll do a quick Ask Me Anything for 10, 15 minutes this great 19th day of October at 4:35 Eastern. Here's the deal. I'm in my home studio. I'm getting ready. I'm about to do a hit on the Wilkow Show on the Salem News Channel at 5 o'clock or 5:05. I think they have me scheduled. So I'm like sitting here and I got my setup and I'm ready to go. And I'm like, la di da. Hey, I know I'll do a live stream. So let's do a live stream. Good to see you all. Let's get the conversation rolling with this Biden petroleum ploy. I believe, what did I call it? Biden's political petroleum ploy. Alliteration. You're welcome. It's exactly what it is. This announcement today, thanks to the great video team, Kevin McMahon and Lindsay Wego over at Town Hall. We've got the video. Take a look at when Biden announced that he's releasing more petroleum. Here we are, 3 weeks from Election Day, and gas prices are going up. So we're going to release more petroleum. And so, Spencer Brown wants to know, this is a really important question. Who is my favorite Town Hall writer? Spencer Brown asks. Of course, Spencer Brown, one of our great writers over at Town Hall. He's the managing editor and really keeps the ships running on time and does such a great job. He really is a fantastic office mate, a person to have. He has always the sunniest and most cheerful. Didn't I say Wygo? What did I say? Wego? Oh, it's Wygo. Is Lindsay watching from the Town Hall offices? Let's hope not. That's what I get for giving her a shout out. I didn't have to. I could have just said the Town Hall Media video team. I could have just left it at that, Spencer. Couldn't I have? But I didn't. Did I? Anyway, Spencer's always just the most uplifting and positive person to have around the office. He's a joy to work with, really. I mean, you see him, he's always got a sunny disposition, a sunny face. He's just ready to seize the day. I don't care what kind of lousy mood you're in. Spencer is there. He'll just turn that ship around. So that's why I'm proud to announce that my favorite writer at Town Hall, obviously, I think it goes without saying, is Matt Vespa. Okay, so here's Joe Biden earlier today after he released the petroleum reserves. He's trying to artificially change the market and throw more supply out there that theoretically will make a difference in the demand or make a difference in the prices here as the demand continues to be high. So you throw in more supply, prices go down, but it's artificial because the reserves are limited. In fact, we're already halfway depleted. And so he was asked at the White House, is this political?
Appreciate Mr. President, what is your response? I don't hear. Can you speak louder?
What is your response to Republicans who say you are only doing this SPR release because to help Democrats in the midterms?
Where have they been the last 4 months? That's my response.
Is it politically motivated?
That's a terrific response, isn't it? Where has he been the last one? I guess what he's trying to say is Republicans haven't done anything. The Republicans are in the minority, you dolt. They can't do anything. In fact, they did do something. They didn't vote for the Inflation Reduction Act, which, of course, not one Democrat can tell me what it will do to actually, reduce inflation. So honestly, do nothing is the best thing that they can do.
Sir, this
No,
is
it's
3
not.
weeks before the midterms.
Look, it makes sense. I've been doing this for how long now? It's not politically motivated at all. It's motivated to make sure that I continue to push on what I've been pushing on. And that is making sure there's enough oil that's being pumped by the companies so that we have the ability to be able to produce enough gas that we need here at home, oil we need here at home. And at the same time, keep moving in the direction of providing for alternative energy. That's
all right. So, of course, this has absolutely nothing to do with oil companies pumping more oil. You release more oil from the strategic petroleum reserves. It literally makes no effect on whether people are going to be pumping more. You know what would actually have an effect on companies pumping more here domestically is to actually grant leases and permits for them to pump more domestically, number one. And number two, stop stepping up at every given moment to say you're going to do away with the fossil fuel industry in this country. Do you realize it's not that easy to just go out and, hey, you know what, let's go spend the next 8 months pumping oil and then we'll move along. That's not how this works. These are long-term investments that these companies make. And why would they make a long-term investment drilling more oil in uncharted land or uncharted territory in this country that hasn't actually been pumped yet? when you've got the president of the United States in every cabinet level position, from health and human services to energy to transportation to freaking the Secretary of Defense, all saying that we have a war on fossil fuels. This entire administration has declared war on the fossil fuel industry. There's no possible way that why they would reasonably invest the kind of money it takes to start drilling oil if they're going to be put out of business by this government. The best thing that you can do is say, we love the oil and gas industry in this company. We want them to thrive. We want them to continue to produce domestic oil and gas. We're not going to do anything to impede that. Go drill, baby, drill. That's what you do. But they don't do that. Now, let's not forget that in the height of the pandemic, when gas prices were like less than $2, remember that? Oh, remember 2 years ago? It's a good time. 2 years ago, when President Trump actually announced, like a smart businessman, that they would, this was when? March of 2020. So it was right at the beginning of the pandemic when the prices like absolutely plummeted. And he said, you know what? We're going to top off our reserves. In fact, we're going to expand our reserves. We're going to buy as much oil as we possibly can while the price is this.
Based on the price of oil, I've also instructed the Secretary of Energy to purchase, at a very good price, large quantities of crude oil for storage in the U.S. Strategic Reserve. We're going to fill it right up to the top, saving the American taxpayer billions and billions of dollars, helping our oil industry and making us even further toward that wonderful goal, which we've achieved, which nobody thought was possible, of energy independence. It puts us in a position that's very strong, and we're buying it at the right price.
Can I show you something while he's making this announcement? Can you see what's happening right here as the Dow Jones Industrial Average is climbing up almost 7% on this day? This is right after it had crashed for a few days and people were like freaking out. And he made all of these announcements about what he was going to do to try to stabilize the economy after the announced lockdowns from this jerk off over here. This guy right here. Yeah. And look at how the Dow Jones Industrial Average is soaring back up from where it was. And because the market is responding to a president that's actually making sound strategic economic decisions on the country's behalf. And it's amazing what the markets do when that sort of thing happens. And by the way, long story short, Congress blocked him from doing that. He wanted to expand our petroleum reserves and buy oil when it was at its cheapest, which, yes, would have helped the oil companies at the time. They needed help at the time. Thank you very
Petroleum
much.
reserve are for.
And they said no. They blocked him from doing that. Imagine if we had been able to build up our oil reserves back at a time when oil was cheap. In fact, Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about that specifically today. Why did Democrats block Trump from refilling the strategic petroleum reserve when things were cheap? Because now we're buying it at a premium. We're buying all that. We're going to have to replenish our strategic oil reserves, and we're going to buy it at a super high price instead of when it was cheap, like Trump wanted.
In 2020, when Congress was debating funding for replenishing the SPR at a low price, Democrats blocked it, saying that it was a bailout for big oil. But now President Biden said today that would be a good
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about when Donald Trump was trying to sell it at $20 per barrel to buy it.
At $20
it was a
barrel.
different time then. It was not the same situation that we are currently in.
In 2020, when Congress was debating,
it was a different situation. All right, we're desperate right now. We're over a barrel of oil, if I may say, and we're screwed. We're screwed in many ways, but that's a big way that we're screwed. So it's all political. It's absolutely a political ploy. It is an artificial reduction of the price of gas in this country. They're trying to squeeze it down by increasing the supply, but it is absolutely artificial. The best thing that we can do is drill our own oil, drill our own natural gas, frack our gas, then refine that oil into gas. We need to open new refineries, in fact, to be able to do that. And that actually puts us at a good footing to compete against Saudi Arabia and OPEC and Russia and Venezuela and Canada even, and other countries. Yes, there's one country out there that's drilling oil that isn't an enemy. That would be Canada. And that allows us to be in a strong negotiating position against these countries. But of course, we don't do that. We don't do that at all. All right, Rick and Bonnie have a question, because I do say ask me anything, and that means, ask me anything, even if you're Spencer Brown. Rick and Bonnie say, hi, Larry. Hi, Larry. Hi, Rick. Do you think Putin will use nukes? Hell, I don't know. I don't think he would. I mean, I know that everybody's telling me that he's a madman, and I get it, and he probably is pretty insane. Any person who wages war on another country and breaches their boundaries and tries to take back land, I think, has got a little bit of a megalomaniac streak to them. But utilizing nuclear weapons is kind of a desperate act of a nation. We're the only nation, by the way, who's done so, and we did it because we were desperately wanting to end World War II. And President Truman was advised at the time that the only way the Japanese would unconditionally surrender is if they knew that there was absolutely no hope, that they were up against the most devastating weapon of mankind. Now we used that weapon. It ended the war. That was a righteous cause, I believe. We're not in that place anymore. And I don't see Putin doing that because Putin knows that if he does that, it's the end of his country. So I think that it's a lot of hype right now. I think that the people are irresponsibly throwing that out there as a potential uh, strategic move that Putin might make. And again, I'm no expert in this, but I'm just using common rational sense. Um, I don't think he is the madman who is willing to destroy his country, his entire nation, because that's the end result. Let's face it. Russia uses a nuclear weapon. Russia is no more. That's always been the rule. That's been the rule since the advent of the Cold War and the nuclear buildup. And God help us if that's what ends up happening. Thanks for the question, Rick. Thanks for bringing down the room. You know, again, and I don't pretend to know everything that's going on geopolitically in the war in Ukraine. I do think that Russia's the aggressor. I think that Ukraine deserves defense. I think that they need support with their defense. I don't think it's our war, and I don't think that we need to be fighting shoulder to shoulder. And I also don't think we should write a blank check. I would like some accountability, and I would like to know exactly how much this thing's going to cost, because it seems like we're just, pushing aid after aid after every 3 weeks. There's another, how many, 30-40 billion dollars of aid that's emergency funded. And by the way, none of this was budgeted for. The budget the fiscal year begins on October 1st, right? So all of that aid that's been put through up until this last October, none of that was budgeted. It was, what's another, $40 billion this month amongst friends. And it would be great to know what the plan is, where the money's going, and who's watching that money, because funny things happen during war. Rick also wants to say that the USA is in a bad place with the war and the economy. Yeah, it sure is. Frankly, though, with the war, it could be in a worse place. I worry about this president. Because he has never hesitated in his 50-year career in American politics. By the way, can we pause there for a moment? Nobody should have a 50-year career in American politics. For God's sake, a senator forever, a vice president, now a president. He can barely get through the day without his soup bubbling up out of his mouth onto his chin. And in his entire 50-year career, he has never hesitated to send other parents' children to go fight a war that he decides he needs to flex his muscle over on the floor of the Senate. He's really robust in the use of other people's lives in uniform to go fight the wars that he thinks need to be fought. And let's face it, oftentimes he makes his calculated decision on when to send someone over to fight overseas with our country's uniform on, based on his own private, personal political ambition. There has been one driving force, one North Star in Joe Biden's life and career. There's been one thing that that you can say Joe Biden stands for, and that's the advancement of Joe Biden's political destiny. And if that means sending people to war, God dang it, he's going to do that. And it freaks me out a little bit that this guy's in charge without any kind of oversight and without any kind of actual direction. So that is something that we are all very concerned about over here. And hopefully we'll get a Republican majority in the House and the Senate to keep him in check, because that's what our founders anticipated, that we would need those checks and balances. All right, let's wrap things up, because I do have to get ready. I'm going to be on Wilcow at Salem News Channel, so that's live starting at 5 o'clock. That's in 10 minutes, and I'm doing the opening segment there with Andrew Wilcow. So if you guys want, go check that out. That's going to be live at 5 o'clock, and then of course tonight's show, O'Connor Tonight, begins at 9 p.m. on Salem News Channel as well. Real fast, Rick says that they're retired, investments are not growing. with inflation, you're losing even more. Yeah, I hear you. My parents are in the same place right now. They're retired. They're on a fixed income. They were planning on having a certain amount of income based on their investments. And now, not only do they not have that income coming in, but everything that they need to buy, all their basic necessities have gotten more expensive. It's amazing what just 2 years with this failed leadership will bring you. But hopefully help is on the way. My parents live in Oregon. And even in Oregon, they're looking to make a change. We're focusing on 2 House seats over there. We're going to have one of the candidates, a Republican candidate, who might flip a Democrat Oregon seat. And even the governor right now is in danger. And we might have a Republican governor in Oregon, of all places. So listen, thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to try to be doing more live streams on a daily basis. Ask Me Anything live streams, or like today where I wanted to get something off my chest on the petroleum reserve thing. Go ahead and share these videos and tell your friends, and make sure that you're in notifications here so you can find out when I do the next live stream. Hit the bell for notifications so when I go live, you know about it. All right, guys, take care.